Good afternoon, everyone. It's Mr. Montgomery again. Today we're doing something that I actually have a lot of fun doing, and it's because we get to kind of draw something different, and I like to make it look very silly. So let me start off by asking you one question. Which number is bigger, 3 or 5? Which number is bigger on a number line? So if we make a number line, we say 3, 4, and we have 5. Which one is further down the number line closer to 100? It's the number 5. So number 5 would be bigger. And what we do when we show that a number is bigger is we make a special symbol. And it's kind of just an arrow. So what we do is when we're comparing two numbers, see which one is bigger and smaller, we make a sign like this. And you always want this big opening to face the big number. And what I always did was I would pretend it's an alligator and I would draw tiny teeth. Just so I would always remember that the alligator wants to eat the big number. Nom, 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 nom. And he's going to chomp at it. He wants to eat it. That's the one he wants for dinner. And then this pointy part always points at the small number. But I would always just remember the alligator wants to eat the big number. And that's why the opening is always facing that direction. Okay, but what if the numbers they switch places? Then what do we do? Well, we still make the same kind of symbol, except it's pointing the other way. See, this arrow is just flipped around because the opening wants to face the big number. This alligator wants to eat the big number. You can always draw little teeth to help you remember that. This is the one he wants to eat. Okay? So it's pretty easy with the small numbers. And there's one more symbol we're going to practice. Now, what if these two numbers we're comparing are the exact same thing? Well, this is actually pretty easy. If they're the same thing, then they equal each other. One can't be bigger or smaller than the other, so they're equal. Okay? So doing this with these one-digit numbers can be pretty fun and easy. But when we use these two-digit numbers that we're seeing a lot of lately, it can be a little confusing. So we have to be very careful. Now, if we're going to compare these two-digit numbers, let's see which ones we're dealing with. We have 12 and 15. The first thing we always do is look at the 10-digit number. In the tens place right there, that tens place number. If they're the same, which they are, then we have to go to the ones place and see which one is bigger then. Now, 1 and 1 are the same, but 2 and 5 are different. So which one is the bigger one? Well, you can always draw a little number line. You can write 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, which one is closer to 100? Well, the 5 is. So the 15 is bigger, so that means the alligator wants to eat the 15. All right? But this was a trickier situation. Let's go to totally different big numbers. Now, what about numbers like 24 and 35? They're totally different numbers. Nothing about them is the same. So we're going to use that first step that we talked about. We're going to compare the tens place first. Now, which number is bigger, the 2 or the 3? Well, we can always make a little number line. Number lines always help. So here we have 1, then we have 2, and we have 3, we have 4. So which one is further down the number line with the big numbers? Well, 3 is. So that means the alligator wants to eat the number 35. Nom, 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 nom. He's going to munch him up because that is the bigger number. All right. Okay. Now we're just going to kind of jump into number 1, and we're going to get used to using these symbols and looking at these bigger numbers and figuring out which one is bigger. And then there's special words that we have to learn too. Like this word is greater, and it goes with the word than. So we say greater than and less than. Okay? And don't worry, we're going to figure out exactly how to write these. Okay, so real quick, on this line here next to the circle, we're going to write the number 51. And then on the other side of the circle, we're going to write the number 41. Now, I always like to do first, before I ever even think of the words, I like to draw the symbol first, because to me that's a little easier, because the alligator always helps me out. Okay, so we have 51 and 41. Which number is bigger? Well, the number 51 is, because this 5 is bigger than the 4 in the tens place, because we always compare the tens house first. So in the tens house here, it's 5. The tens house here is 4. And if we wanted to compare these numbers, we could write over here, it could be 51, right? And 41. And we can just draw the tens. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I drew 5 tens because there's 5 in the tens place. And there's a 1 in the ones place, so I'll finish that up. And over here for 41, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, because there's a 4 in the tens place. And they also have a little ones cube off to the side in the ones place. But which one has more tens? The 51 does. It has 5 tens, and 41 only has 4 tens. So the alligator wants to eat the 51. And for this little sentence up here, it says blank is greater than blank. So we can actually fill in these numbers. So 51 is greater than 41. So what they're trying to tell us is that when the arrow points in this direction and the alligator wants to eat the number over to the left right here, that means greater than. Okay, because we always read from left to right. So 51 is greater than 41. We only say greater than when this left number is the bigger number. Now, if we were to take those same numbers and right next to it, where we have all these extra spaces, we can rewrite the opposite way. So over here we had 51 and 41, but now we're going to write 41 on this side and then 51 on this side. And if we want, we can even draw it out again. So we have 41, 51, and we can start by drawing out our tens. Just going to draw 10 sticks, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and I stop because I'm just drawing the tens. And over here for 51, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, which number is bigger? Or which side, or which number has more 10 sticks? The 51 or the 41? Well, the 51, because we have 5. And that shows we have more, right? So the alligator still wants to eat the 51. And if you want, you can do what I used to do and draw little teeth. Tiny teeth, because it wants to chomp away and go nom 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 on that 51. It wants to eat it. So, if we were to put this into a sentence, we would say 41 is less than 51. I mean, either way, the 51 is going to be bigger. It's just wherever it is makes the arrow change direction. That's all. So if the pointy part is facing this side here, we say less than. But if the arrow is pointing to this side, we say greater than. That's all it is. So let's try this again with a different number. Okay, now for this one, we're going to use the numbers 32 and 28. So I'll give you a second to write those numbers in. All right, and let's make this TV over here. This is going to be the 32. And this TV is going to be the 28. And remember, the first thing we always do is we're going to compare these tens. Okay, so we're going to draw 10 sticks. So for this one, we have 3 in the tens house, so we draw 3 sticks. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And each stick is going to count for 10. And over here, we have 2 in the tens house, so we draw 2, 1, 2. Now, which one has more sticks? The 32 or the 28? The 32 does. So the alligator is going to want to eat the 32. And if we want to put this in a sentence, we say 32 is greater than 28. Okay? But what if we wrote them on the opposite sides and we had a 28 over here and a 32 over here? Is the alligator still going to want to eat that 32? Well, sure he is, because look, up in this picture we drew, the 32 has more 10 sticks. So he still wants to eat this one. So the alligator's mouth points this way, and we draw tiny teeth. Because he wants to chomp away and eat the 32. And how we write it this way is, we would say 28 is less than 32. I know the words can be a little confusing. I really want to make sure you guys understand the symbol of where the arrow points the most. As long as you really understand that arrow, you will eventually get the words. Because the words are probably the toughest part. So really, I want you guys to really focus on making sure that the gator eats the big number, okay? The gator always wants to eat the big number. And then the words we'll work on the words as we go along, okay? And okay, this last one we have to make it pretty tricky so it's super fun. All right, so I have our new numbers picked for this last one we're doing on the front page. We're going to use numbers 24 and 21. This is where it gets a little bit trickier, but it's pretty fun. So go ahead and write in those numbers. The first line is going to be 24. The second line is going to be 21. And to figure this out, we need to look at our tens first on both of them. So first, for each one, we're going to draw our tens. Ready? 1, 2, because there are 2. Because there's 2 in the tens place, so we drew 2 10 rods. And for over here, we're going to draw 2 again, because they have 2 in the tens house. But wait a minute, we don't know which one's bigger, because we have the same amount of tens. So you know what that means? That means we now have to go to our ones. We have our ones here. So we have 4 in the 1, so that means we're going to draw 4 little cubes. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have our 4 cubes. And over here for 21, we have a 1 in the tens house, so we draw one lonely little cube. He looks lonely. Oh well. We have to figure out which one has more 1s since the tens are exactly the same. Which one has more 1s cubes? 24 or 21? 24 does. So, the gator wants to eat the big 24. And you could draw tiny, tiny teeth in there. Num, 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 num. Okay. So we're going to say, so what we would do is, for a sentence, we would actually say 24 is greater than 21. Okay, but what if the numbers were switched around? And we had that crazy 21 over here and the 24 over here. What would we do? Well, we can always figure out by drawing a picture like we did up here. They both still have 2 in the tens place, right? So it means 2 10 rods for each one. But 4 still has more 1s. So that gator still wants to eat the 24. And I'm going to draw tiny, tiny teeth. Because he's a gator and he needs teeth to eat. Nom, nom, nom. He's going to eat that 24. So if we were going to write this as a sentence, we would say 21 is less than 24. Okay? So just really focus on making sure you know which number the alligator wants to eat. And then as we go on, we're going to keep working on these words. All right, now open up to the inside of your work mats. All right, I'll give you a couple seconds to open up to the inside so you can see number 1 for our guided practice part. Okay, now let's take a look at what they're doing so we know exactly what's going on here. They wrote, write greater than, less than, or equal to. So greater than is this sign here, less than is this sign there, and equal to is, well, it's the equal sign. So they wrote 28 is less than 41. Let's look at why it's less. So 28, how many tens are in the tens house? Well, we have 1 and 2. For 41, we have 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which number has more tens? 41 does. So if we want to, we can actually do the symbol first, which I like to do. So which number is bigger? 28 or 41? Well, we just figured that out with our tens, right? Our tens rods. 41 has more tens rods, so the alligator wants to eat the 41. This guy right here. Okay? And as we read it in a sentence we always start just like a book, from left. This is where we start. Going that way, left to right. We would say 28 is less than 41. Because 28's not greater than, it's not bigger, right? It can't be, it's small. So we're going to say less. And we can go ahead and trace this word less than. Okay, let's just do number 2 together kind of, and we're going to break this into 2 parts, okay? I would love for you guys to do this bottom part only first. Find out which way the symbol points, okay? The little arrow symbol we have to draw in this bubble right here. Draw it going in the correct direction, because remember, the alligator wants to eat the bigger number. Show me which number the alligator wants to eat. I'll give you guys a quick second. All right. I think you should be done already. So, let's look at how we can figure this out. We just look at the tens house first. We're going to look at this 5 and 53 and a 3 and 35. Now, I know what you're thinking. These numbers kind of look similar. And they do, because they have the same numbers, but they're just in different places. So first we're going to compare our tens house numbers. So let's see how many tens are in 53. Oh, yeah, let me get a better color. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 tens in 53, and in 35 we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, 53 is much bigger. So the alligator wants to eat the 53. And I'll draw some little teeth right here. Okay. So, but now we have to think, how are we going to read this in a sentence? Starting on the left side, going that way to the right, just like in a book. 53 is greater than, or is it less than? Let's think about that. Would it make sense if we said 53 is less than 35? No, that wouldn't make sense because the alligator wants to eat this 53. He wants to eat this guy right here. He wants to eat him. So it is greater. 53 is, we're going to rate greater than. I got a little sloppy. It's okay though. So it's greater than. Now, go ahead and try the bottom part on number 3. All by yourself. I'll give you a quick second. This one's a little tricky. Because remember, we have 3 symbols. If one is bigger than the other, the alligator wants to eat it. But if they're the same, they're going to be, you're going to use a different symbol. Look at the 3 symbols up here. Go ahead and figure out which symbol, guys. Which one goes in here for 19 and 19? Is going to be greater than, less than, equal to. All right. Think that might be enough time. Well, let's look at these 2 numbers. First, let's look at the tens place. They both have 1. So we have 1 and 1. Our ones place, let's look at that next. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ones. And then over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 again. So we can't have the alligator just eat 1. He can't make up his mind. He can't. So it's going to be equal to, because they're the same. The alligator can't make up his mind. So they're both safe. And when we read this in a sentence, we're going to say 19 is equal to. Okay? Now we're going to do this last one. I'll let you do it on your own real quick. And then we're going to go over together. But this time, try doing both parts all on your own. You're going to draw the sign. And then also try telling me what word goes into this blank space. Okay, I'll give you guys a quick minute. All right, everyone, I think that might have been enough time. Let's figure this out. So first, we look at our tens house on each number. So here we have 62, which means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens. We have 6 tens. And for 37, we have 1, 2, 3 tens. So which is more, 6 or 3? Well, the 6 is. So the alligator wants to eat the 62. I'm going to draw some teeth. So I remember which one the alligator wants to eat. It's the 62. So when we would read this as a sentence, we would say 62 is, would we say greater than or less than? So remember, greater means bigger. Is 62 bigger than 37? Or is it smaller? And for smaller, we say less than. It's bigger. So we're going to say greater than. Greater. Okay, it's bigger, it's greater. So go ahead now and finish the rest of the packet. If you have any questions, come sit with me and the other friends on the carpet in the front of the classroom. If not, go ahead back to your seats and get working, but do not tell your friends any answers, okay? And I'll talk to you guys later.